Hi everyone, it's Sylvia here from Casino Library and welcome to our Create, Make, Share program. This program has been running in our libraries for about 7 years now, and we have lots of fun getting together and learning lots of different creative techniques, be it paper craft and card making, whether it be journaling, whether it be Zentangle, arm knitting, finger knitting, even broomstick lace, you name it, we have a go at it. We love to get together, we love to chat, and we love to share stories. Most of all, we love the friendships that we've formed. So while we can't do that at the moment with our libraries and the regulations that we're under with state government, we're excited to bring you Create, Make, Share online. So today we're going to be making some paper flowers, which is something that a few of you were asking about prior to libraries going into shutdown. So I'm really excited to share that with you today. So let's get started. So here's a couple of the flowers that we're going to be making today, a couple of samples to show you. This beautiful rose here is made from 4 squares of paper. This delicate little one here is made the same way using 4 squares of paper, and they're so easy. I can't wait to show you how to do this. They make beautiful decorations, be it in a bedroom, or you could put them on a wreath and make a beautiful hanging for a room. These smaller ones, they'd be great with a magnet on the back and use them as fridge magnets. And they look great decorating the top of gift boxes, something that you've taken the time to wrap beautifully and you just want that something extra to make it pop. So I have my 4 sheets of square paper cut at 21 by 21 centimetres square. You'll also need a ruler, comes in handy just for helping get those creases nice and sharp, a pencil to draw our petals on our flower, and a pair of scissors to cut our flower out. You'll also need just some general craft glue, whatever you've got on hand, a good strong craft glue for putting our flower together once we've got all the separate sections made up. And that's about it, that's all you need. Okay, so I have experimented and I found that your lightweight paper works best with these flowers. I tried some cardstock and I tried some scrapbooking papers, but I find that they're just a little bit too stiff and too hard to work with. So something about the weight of photocopy paper, a little bit heavier would work fine, but that's what I'm using today. So this gorgeous red. Now I've got my 4 sheets, and each of the 4 is going to get folded the same way. So we're going to put it on point, and we're simply going to fold it in half to make a triangle. So you do that once, get a nice crease. Okay, so there you have your first fold. The next fold, exactly the same, just lay it down, and again we're going to take it and fold it in half to form a smaller triangle. Give it a good crease. If you want to, use your ruler or what do you have handy. Okay, so that's 2 folds. We've got 1 more fold to make, and we're simply going to fold it in half again. Just taking your time, give it a nice fold, make sure you've got your edges lined up, and there you have. So our 21 by 21 centimetre square has now been folded 3 times to create the triangle. Okay, so your next step, you want to make sure that you have your folded edge to the left of you, and this is your open. You can see how that opens up. I've also got the straight edge of the triangle at the top. So what you then need is a template, which I've gone ahead and created. So this is a template for the petals, and the template is for the 21 centimetre square flower. I've done a few other templates up. There's one for a 15 centimetre square, and I may even have one for a 7 centimetre square, but I'll have those available for you in the comments below. So that's your template, so you don't have to fuss around trying to draw perfect. So we're going to take our template, and I'm going to turn that around just to face you. We're going to take our template, and this is our folded edge, this is our straight edge, and our other edge here. Okay, so we've got our folded edge and our straight edge. What you do with your template is you're going to take it and you're going to line it up on there so that, hopefully you can see that nicely, it just sits on those edges, and you're going to trace around this part of your template, and you're going to trace across the bottom edge there. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I've traced around my template using my pencil, and you're just going to cut around your petal, top part there, and we're going to cut off where we drew our line in across there, so just taking that point off. So let's do that. So carefully cut around, just hold it firmly in your hand. Doesn't have to be perfect. No two flowers in nature are the same. So just take your time to cut around. Now, when you come to this edge, we're actually going to come down below our pencil line just slightly. So we're actually going to cut, there's my pencil line ends there. I'm actually going to come and just cut a little bit extra off that fold. So I've rounded it off a little bit extra. That's because later we're actually going to fold our petals back or curl them back. And you'll want to do the same on the other side. So where your pencil line ends, just come 3 or 4 mil down further just to take that edge off. And that will just give us a bit more to play with. Okay, so I've cut around the top. There's my petal. I just need to snip off the bottom where I had that pencil line, and there you have it. So we need to do that for all 4 squares. So let's go ahead and do that now, and I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, so there we have our 4 squares that have now been folded 3 times. We've traced off our template and cut it out, so this is what we're left with. Now, we're going to work with one at a time. We're going to open them up. So this is what your flower should look like at this point. So the flower is actually made up of 8 petals, and we're actually going to cut one of them out. We're going to remove it. So just grab your scissors, follow your crease lines, and I want you to just carefully cut one of those out, put it aside, so that we're now left with 7 petals here. Take your next one, open him up. This time we're going to cut away 2 petals from our flower. So go ahead and do that. Okay, so put those to a side, and we have our one, and we're left with 6 petals there. Put that on top. Okay, so keep going, undo your next one, and we're going to cut away 3. Don't cut them out individually, cut them out as one unit, because we're going to use those to help put our flower together. So 3. Okay, so put 3 to the side. We've now got 5. Okay, and our last one, you guessed it, we're actually going to cut away 4, so we're going to cut it in half, cut away 4 petals. So we'll do that. Alright, so we're only going to be needing one of these sets of 4, so I can put one of them off to the side. So I've got 4, 5, 6 and 7. So I've got 4 parts of my flower, and I'm going to add to that 3 petals, 2 petals and 1. Okay, so So now we can start putting our flower together. So we're going to start with the largest one. We're going to start with our 7 petals, and we're simply going to add some glue about halfway up. I don't want to glue my petals because I want to be able to curl them later, and the glue will just make them a little bit stiff. And what we do is we're actually going to overlap to create the first part of our flower, just by overlapping those 2 petals here. These 2 here are going to overlap, and we're just going to use our glue to do that. So I'm just going to put some in this bottom section of my petal, the lower section. Like I said, you don't need a lot, you don't need to be heavy-handed with your glue, just a nice little bit like that. And then overlapping and lining up those 2 petals. Just a little bit, hold it. And again, I didn't glue the top part because I want that to remain flexible so that I can come back later and curl my petals. Okay, so just do glue. So there you go. There's the base of your flower. Awesome. So pop that aside, it can dry while we're working with our next piece. So taking our next petal, so where we cut away 2 petals and we're left with 6, we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to pop some glue in this bottom section, and we're going to bring those 2 petals up and overlap them just like that. So I want you to go ahead and do that for me. Again, you don't need a lot of glue, and leaving the top part of your petal free. So there's my glue. And just help it take form. A little press. Check the back, make sure you've got it lined up nicely. Oh, fabulous. There you go. So that's the first one we glued. This is the next one. Let's keep going. So now this is the section where we cut away 3 of the petals and we're left with 5. Same again, glue on the bottom half of one of those, and we're going to be bringing them over and overlapping them. And just do that, remembering that you don't need an excessive amount of glue. Bring this one up over the top, slide it into place. Just lining up the top parts of your petal, check it at the back. Okay, so there we've got 3 done, we've got 4 to go. So this is our flower that we cut in half, so we only need to use 1 of these halves. Again, same. Glue on the bottom half, overlap, so that will give us 3 petals remaining. So each time we overlap, our 4 petals become 3. So each time we're reducing the number of petals down by 1. So you've got a nice little form like that. Okay. So taking my 3-petaled piece, doing the same, some glue across that bottom half, and again overlapping those 2 so that we have, I'm just trying to keep that a little bit rounded, just keep giving it a little bit of shape. If you need to, you can always pop your pencil down in there, just run it around, help it to make that cone shape. It gets all a bit trickier as we get down to our smaller sections of our flower. So that's what that should look like. So that leaves our 2-petaled section, and again we're going to, I like to try and just give this one a little bit of a rolling from the edges first. You can use your pencil if you wish, but just gently roll it with your fingers, start to shape that. And what we'll be doing is, hopefully, I might just use my pencil here, I think, just to help it take shape. Just on that bottom bit. So what we'll be doing, again, is instead of completely folding it in half and ending up with something like this, I find if I roll it and come maybe halfway to 3/4. Now again, there's no right or wrong, so that's where I've rolled it to. I haven't come all the way over to the edge, I've come just over halfway, and when I glue that, I'll have a nice centre there. So take your time doing that. Again, put your glue just on that bottom section, because we'll try and give those petals a bit of a curl to make them look more natural. And just, like I said, it gets tricky once you get down to these smaller sections, but it's certainly manageable. And just bringing that around. And I'm going to put my pencil down in there because that'll just help give a bit of shape down towards the bottom. Okay, so that's the difference between in sizes. So that was our 3 petals becoming 2, and our 2 coming down to that 1 and a bit. So that just leaves this one. So what we'll do is we are going to roll it, and I would suggest you take your pencil and just give that a little curl in from each end, just to help it start to take shape. Just a bit easier. My fingers are clumsy. I find the pencil works a bit better. Okay, so I'm just curling it up like that. Hopefully you can see that. So that when I glue, I'm just going to overlap just slightly, and that will be my finished centre of my flower. Again, no right or wrong. If you overlap it a little bit more, a little bit less, it will be beautiful no matter what. Just run your glue along that edge. And might even just roll it over. Again, grab your pencil if you find that easier to work with, just until that starts to take up. So I'll get a bit messy with the glue. So there you have, that's our centre. So I'm just going to give that a moment to dry. Okay. So I've got my glue there, that's going to dry, so that's my centre of my flower. Okay, I'll pop that aside. Okay, make sure you don't have any excess glue on your fingers, because you'll end up getting it on your petals of your finished flower. So this is our first section. So this had 8 petals, we cut away 1, leaving us with 7, and we overlapped them, so now we have 6. This is our next biggest section, and what we're going to be doing is I'm going to run some glue around the bottom part of this flower petal, and it's going to sit down inside my first set of petals like so. Now I'm going to try and avoid lining petals up exactly. I want to offset them so it looks more natural. I just think it gives it a nicer finish. So we're going to take that, the smaller of the 2, the one that's going to sit down inside. I'm just going to run some glue around the base. You can use a hot glue gun, but I find good quality craft glue like this does the trick, and it saves me burning myself with the glue, hot glue, which I tend to do. Right, so offset the petals And just pop that down in there. Just pop your fingers down in there. Even cup it in your other hand so it tends to form up a little bit. Just hold it for a couple of seconds till it starts to take. And that's the first part of your flower. That's the first part of your flower together. And we just keep layering with the next smallest one. So that'll be the one that has 4 petals. So on the outside I've got my 6 petals, my 5 petals, and my 4 petals are going to sit down in there just like that. I like to just sit it in there before I glue it and make sure that it's not sitting up too high. If it is, it's just a matter of snipping a little bit extra off the bottom of that one there. So again, take your glue, run some glue around that section. Great. Okay, and again, try and offset your petals so that they're not lining up looking uniform. You need to look a bit more natural. Just poke it down in there. The glue lets you, I like using this glue too because rather than hot glue, it gives me time to manipulate that set of petals a little if I need to. And again, cupping it in my hands so that those layers underneath kind of curl up and help it hold together really nicely. Okay, so that's how our flower's looking at the moment. Looks fabulous. And who'd have thought they were so easy? So again, we're down to our 3-petaled section, and just keep going with that. Adding your 3, your 2, and we'll come back when we're up to doing, just checking when we do that 1 single petal. You want to, as I said, make sure it's not sitting up too high inside the rest of the flower and look rather odd. So I just like to poke that down in there. Make sure that it's just sitting nicely where I like, where I'm happy with it. It's nearly there. Fabulous. Make sure you've got plenty of glue. You may need to hold that for a little bit longer than, just hold it till the glue starts to set and that set of petals is in there without wobbling around too much. Okay, so we're down to our 2 petals. Again, I'm just going to give that a nice little, just kind of keep it a bit rounded looking. I don't want it looking too flat and stiff. Again, I'm going to check that before I glue it. Now that's just going to sit up a little bit higher than I would like it to. So I'm actually going to cut a small section, just a couple of mil off the bottom, and try it again. I can always cut off more, but if I cut off too much, well, I can't put it back. I'm going to take just a little bit extra. So that when that's glued and sitting in there, it just tucks in nicely. It's not sitting up high above the other petals, it's just going to sit in there nicely. Okay, so let's glue that one. And plenty of glue. Okay. Again, if you can offset your petals, do so. Just gives it a nicer finish. Okay, so I am going to again cup my hand up over there, helping it take shape. And it's sitting in there beautifully. So much fun. I never knew these were so easy to make. Been wanting to make them for quite some time. I just thought they were more involved than what they actually are. Okay, so this is our 2-petaled section that we rolled just over halfway when we joined it. So that's going to pop in there next. So there's actually 7 layers to your flower. And again, I can see that it's going to sit up just a little bit higher than I would like. So I'm going to take a little bit off the bottom. And the more flowers you make, the more confident you will get in cutting off that little bit from the bottom. You'll do it instinctively and you will get it right first time. That's better. So that's going to tuck down in there like that. So let's go ahead and glue that. Helping it stay a little bit rounded. Pop it down into that centre and use your other hand to cup the bottom of your flowers so it's shaping up really nicely. These make a beautiful arrangement on a bedroom wall or over a bed head. A little girl's room with some pink and purple flowers. They also make great home decor. You could even make quite a few of them and mount them on a canvas. So there you go. There's one section left and I think that's looking great. Really happy with how that's turned out. So this is our single petal that we were left with and we just overlapped it to make that final part of our flower. So again, it's going to sit up a little bit higher than I would like it to, so I'm going to take some off the bottom of that. Just test it again before I start gluing anything in, because I want that just to sit in there snug. Might even take just a little bit extra, I think. You know what, if it ends up sitting a little bit lower than you wanted, that's okay. But mine's just going to tuck in there now. So it's just sitting below the previous set of petals. So let's go ahead and pop in our last. Let's go ahead and pop in the last part of our flower. Some glue. That will glue to the inside of the other just nicely. And I'm just going to make sure, just going to take my pencil and again cup it with my other hand. Just going to hold it there for a couple of seconds just until that glue starts to set. There's nothing worse than setting this down to dry and you come back and you find the centre of your flower has become more like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Not a good look. Okay, so once I'm happy that that glue is starting to set, I'm just going to, you can see, there's the centre of my flower. That's awesome. So I'm just going to set that aside. I'm going to give it a few minutes for that glue to really take hold. And then we're going to come back and we're going to curl our petals. So once I'm happy with that glue has set and my petals aren't going to move around anymore, I'm then going to curl the petals. And I'm just going to take my scissors, a bit like curling ribbon. And each side, I'm just going to give it a little flick with my scissors. Careful not to tear your paper. And that's just going to give my petals a nice little bit of definition. So I find it easier just to go around and do that on every petal, working my way in towards the centre. If if that sounds like too much hard work, that's fine. You certainly don't have to. I just find it adds that extra something. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll come back and show you when I'm finished. Now, if you find that getting into these petals towards the centre is just a little bit too tricky with your scissors, just grab your pencil. I'm finding that a bit easier, just to wrap the bits of petal just around, carefully around a pencil or something similar, or maybe even a skewer, whatever you've got that works for you. And it just opens up the flower and gives it a whole new level of realism. It is that simple. I love it. I cannot wait to make more. In fact, I have a friend whose favourite colour is red, and I think a random act of kindness is in store, and I'm going to leave this on her doorstep. I'm sure she'll love it. You could probably even spritz it with a little bit of perfume or something, give it a scent. But that would look lovely just sitting on the dresser or somewhere nice. You don't have to do anything with it more than that. So I do hope that you've enjoyed making those today. Make sure that you share your creations with us in the comments below. We'd love to see them. And I'll also make the templates available for you in the comments below. So that'll be your templates to actually cut or to trace and cut your petals.
If you are unable to download the template below, please give us a call on 666 00250 and we'll make that template available for you. You'll also find a great selection of books in our libraries on how to make some more beautiful paper flowers. And remember our e-resources in the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Centre. You'll find some more reading, along with our ABSCO ebooks, where you'll also find some wonderful books on the art of paper flower making. And remember, if you'd like to receive updates when new content is added to our YouTube channel, please click the subscribe button. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time with another Create, Make, Share.